Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how to create a new course template, but then also it's going to be quite descriptive because I'm going to go through all the different elements of it just so you guys get a better idea of what's actually attached to workflows and why these sections within the course templates are important. So course templates, we're going to go into here, we're going to click on this. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see that this is essentially every single course that we offer. We try not to create them for different clients. You know, we run like 10 different types of adult basic life support courses, but we're not really going to create different course templates for each. Essentially, they should all have their lesson plans attached to the actual venue description. So the only time that you're ever going to create a new course template is because we're offering essentially a new product to clients that does not fit the mold of anything else. An example of this would be when we started offering fit testing. Nothing was going to be similar to fit testing. It had its own like maximum participant numbers, its own lesson plans, its own regulations. So a member of the leadership team is always going to advise and approve when new course templates have to be built in. So what I'm going to do is, I think to start off, I'm just going to go through the actual details that are stored into a course template rather than, starting from scratch. Again, I think it might be a little bit easier for us to go through something that you guys are all familiar with already. So I'm going to take you through an immediate life support course. Now, if you've watched the videos where you create a new course, you can kind of see through where all of those specific details when it comes to a course booking gets attached to. But what it wouldn't have shown you is where those other details are, like what the clients receive, an immediate life support course that we run, because we've got the delegate email addresses, like what's all communicated to them when they get attached to a course and like booked onto it. So they're obviously going to see the name of the course, what type of course this is. Administrators just get specific function to the course, so who's actually in charge of it and who has permission to edit it. So we always leave that blank because everybody with training administrator roles in AccessPlanit should be having access to this. So all of this is always blank. I think when we start utilizing the website transition with AccessPlanit, we'll start using more of these functions. But at the moment, we just leave them blank because they're not really tied to anything. Like we don't see an image on things. External candidates, we book them on for them, so they don't really see any of these things. What we are always mindful of is the duration. Remember that the more specific and the more details you can put in a course template, the less you're going to have to do when you're actually booking these courses into the course or into the course's calendar view. So it's really important that you try and be as specific as you can. When it comes to the course template, I also use this as my knowledge base of what this course is and how it runs. So I would never, unless the course is actually 8 hours, leave that as 8 hours. If it was a course, let's say it's a half day course, I would put that in as 4 hours, because if I'm not that familiar with the course, especially if it's something new that we're offering and I'm on the phone with a client and the client's asking me, oh, I heard you offer fire safety, for example. How long is it? This is where I'm going to jump to in AccessPlanit to answer the question. So I can automatically go into the course template and be like, oh, it's 4 hours. Also, we can only take 6 people on it. It's probably not the case for a fire safety course, but you get my drift. So I always put the maximum places here based on how many we can actually take in total. The cost, I typically always make this I'm always going to change it. But I mean, I think for something bespoke that we're going to be creating, I would tend to leave that as what I would charge a client when we're going to book this course. So I know like for fit testing, we did it at $550. I wasn't that familiar with the pricing, so I just left that as an ad hoc base. So I'll always just leave that as what we're selling this as. For ILS, I just put in BEH courses, so they're at $475. If I was putting in, let's say, like a new course on a new ILS course for a new client, so they're always going to be charged at $840. That's our rack rate for those courses. So the pricing guide will help you with that. That's in the finance folder in the new client onboarding policy to like walk you through that bit. But just keep that as your standard format. What is this product look like off the shelf? Primarily is what your mind should be when you're booking or when you're creating a new course template. The other aspect that's important of it is it a sessional course? So a sessional course is any type of course where you can hold multiple courses on the same day. Your prime example is your basic life supports. So you can do 3 adult BLSs in one day. If those weren't already marked in here, it would never automatically create those courses for me. So if this was going to be a sessional course, I would definitely hit yes on this. We don't use our paper sign-in forms anymore. So this isn't attached to anything anymore. So it doesn't actually really matter if it's there or not. If I was creating a new course, I would just leave that blank. Same with this bit. Now my certificate's really important. If I'm creating a new course, I definitely want the certificates to be automatically pulled through. If it's not pulled through from here, nobody's going to get them. And nobody wants to be creating manual certificates when we've got a system to do it for us. So when you're creating a new course, all of those documents that you would need to have an AccessPlanit in order to get fed through, they need to already be created in the system. So there's different sections in each one, and I don't really want to go through here, but certificates are going to be pulled through our document templates. So you can see all the ones that, like, we've got the radar one, a modified ALS one, an e-learning certificate. So all of these you already want to have in place by the time you start coming to create your course template. If you don't have them ready, because at the moment you just kind of want to start the whole onboarding process with a new client, it's absolutely fine. It's not anything that you can't change. But those are the kind of files that already we're going to need to be uploaded into AccessPlanit in order for it to come through to here. Your course survey, we've got the generic ones, but some of our courses have quite specific ones that are built into the system as well. That's what's going to show here. This is also attached to a workflow. So the certificate and the surveys tend to always go in the same one. So if you don't have anything there, there's not going to be any survey to go send through. If you were to select here, you can see all the different kind of surveys that we have. If you don't know what survey to use, and the member of the leadership team who's approved this course template, this is one of the things that you want to be able to know. Are we producing certificates for it? Do we have a feedback form, or does one need to be created? You can just use a generic one, then just click on here, and it's going to change it for you. We can also create trainer survey ones. They work the same way and they're saved in the same section. So you'll just need to go into the surveys portion in the knowledge base. So we don't ever normally want to advertise courses. It's linked to our website, which doesn't at the moment talk to AccessPlanit. So you just want to leave that blank. Award type, this is automatically normally is going to pull through. The only time it would be connected to is based on your workflows. But when your certificate's going to automatically get sent through, that's not based on what this is. This is more just for like an email communication that's going to tell somebody, depending on if you created a workflow that says a merge field for the awards. But I've tried to start creating just bespoke workflows for the type of courses that are pulling through the certificates, just so that we can have as much detail on them. So those are the bits that you can kind of see that can get fed through. I'm going to change this back so people don't start getting this one. Go OK. And just hit save. I'm just going to go up. So we don't ever touch anything in attributes. It doesn't really do anything for us. Most of the stuff is already pulled through and are already custom created. The one thing I am definitely going to look at is the text. Now, some of these fields, and it depends on how the workflows are created, they get pulled through as merge fields. So your text and aims can come through on a certificate when it comes to like the aims and objectives of a course. It's why I started putting them through individually, just because it doesn't tend to pull through too great when it comes to how somebody will actually view their certificate. The spacing's all wrong. It's why I just created individual certificates for the courses. Same thing goes for objectives. These are all merge fields that can come through on specific documents like the certificates, but also within your workflows. Same thing with the summary. Now, the ones that we use the most are going to be your joining instructions text and your trainer joining instructions text. Now, your joining instructions text is your candidates. This is the email that candidates get when we book them onto a course and we have their email address. So it says, dear candidate, thanks for booking on to an ILS course. It all gets pulled through from here. If anything needs to get amended, let's say a candidate's come back and they said, oh, I just received a booking confirmation, but I was booked on for a pills course and it's giving me all like adult immediate life support information. It's because these maybe are in there incorrectly. So all of the attachments that they're getting pulled through are these. So now a workflow is going to know that your joining instructions text when somebody books onto an ILS are all attached to what's in here. So if anything ever needs to be amended, like the assessment papers in the ILS course, maybe the program does, anything that needs to be amended, it needs to be amended from here. Remember, these are all going to be attached to workflows because that's how we built them. We want candidates to get as much information as they possibly can, and they're all going to get it from here. So if anything did need to be updated, remember any attachment that shows like this is based in your file store. You cannot change any of these in here without it already being uploaded in the file store. So let's say you were at this stage and then you knew that you had to update the MCQ paper because the questions are not different. Regulations changed in July. So now they've got different questions that we want to be sending out. You've already attached this to the file store. All you need to do then is go into here. And let's say these are my new MCQ papers. I'm just going to type MCQ paper just to have a little cheat. If they were my new ones, it's going to say paper 2021. And then I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to close. It'll close it automatically once you've hit OK. It's going to show up in here. Now, remember, you want to identify it easily. So you'll be able to see that this will probably say ILS MCQ paper 2021. That's automatically going to change every single paper that's gone through. Now, normally what you would have done, because that's an update of old guidance, is actually change that file store. But for this section in this tutorial, all I want you to be aware of is that this is where candidates are going to receive their joining instructions from. If anybody ever said, oh, I saw your email, it was really confusing, I wasn't sure what to do, your email told me there is parking on site, this is where it needs to get changed. The same thing goes for the comms that goes out to trainer joining instructions. These are the emails that trainers get as soon as you book them onto a course. This is tied to the lesson plan emails. So if any of these update, they need to be updated in the file store or any comms that go through there. So with any rules that are specific to that course, you can see in these ones that every single immediate life support course that we run, regardless of what client it's for, their lesson plans are pulled through here. So, and I've highlighted as much as I could when it comes to just making this really clear, just because I appreciate that it's a lot of attachments. I think ILS probably has like the most that are in there. And I even state here, and we could actually even highlight here, please ensure, just so that it's a little bit more clear. I'm going to save that. Okay. So please ensure local practices for individual sites means use the lesson plan that's specific to that site. It's why that they're named the way they are. So like a Care UK, ILS plan, they're all specific to different ones. So because this is ILS, you're not going to see many of them because it's a standardized program. But Care UK is going to have one just because they're in the prison setting. So we've got extra elements that we need to do. The same thing goes for the basic life support for BEH. So if anybody ever receives any automated comms when it comes to the type of course, this is what needs to be amended in here. The only other thing that I normally add on here is going to be the resources. This is what I'm typically going to do to remind myself of what I need for this course. I primarily only amend this when I'm booking a new activity just to save me some time. It allows me to be able to not have to manually add resources to a course. So this is where it's going to come through, but it's not obviously tied to any workflows. It's just telling us what is required. And I'll show you an example, and a really good one is of the advanced life support courses because there's so many different types of resources. So we're going to go to ALS and we're going to go edit. And if you go under resources, you can see all of the ones that are going to pull through. So I've done it automatically for a 12-person course just to save me some time. If these weren't there, we would have to be adding individual resources to each course. When you have to do these individually, it's time consuming. So your administrative support's automatically already there, a couple of employed instructors. I haven't put in medical directors or the ALS course director function, just because none of the instructors who actually teach on that course are specific to that, unless there's several new ones I know, obviously, that we've put in. But we're typically going to book our ALS courses when we've got the at least a course director and a medical director booked on there. So I've left those out. It's also just a lot easier just to add in one resource as opposed to 8 of them if you need 8. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what's pulled through when it comes to a course template. If you were to add a new one, this is all we need to do. So we're not going to put in a course template ID. AccessPlanit's basically going to make one for us. What we are going to do is make a very clear and concise label for our course. This is just going to be the name of the course. So maybe we're just going to have a course called Fire Safety. Our course template type is going to be the type of course it is. Mostly we're going to have class ones. If not, we're going to have e-learning courses. And e-learning course is just going to put up your template here. So you're not actually going to be downloading that. I'm going to put that in a separate tutorial though. So we're just going to write courses that this is a classroom-based course, sorry. I'm going to pull down. Remember, we don't need any of this. My fire safety course is actually only 2 hours. So I'm going to amend this so it does it for me automatically. My maximum places, I can actually take quite a few. So I can take 15 people on a fire safety course per session. And then what I'm going to do is my cost. Now, when we created this course, we're going to take into consideration how much equipment's going to put in there. So the cost of this course is going to be $650 per day. For fire safety, because so many people need to attend this course, you're going to have a lot in a day. So we're going to have about 3 sessions like we do for basic life support. So it's going to be a lot. But there's also a lot of reading material we need to send out. So we're going to put the cost at $650. Points type, we're not going to put that. I am going to create this as a sessional course because there's going to be a lot in there. My max sessions is going to be 3. If it wasn't and this was a full day course, just leave it unticked. Your sign-in form doesn't need to be there. Your register doesn't need to be there. But I do want a certificate because I'm going to be booking all these people on. We're going to say that it's going to be a generic certificate. So this does not pull through anything other than saying, congratulations, you've completed, and then it'll pull through the name of the course. But it's not going to give you anything like if there's CPD points, any aims or objectives, unless we've pulled those through this bit. Now, my course survey, I'm just going to use my generic feedback form, because we don't need a specific one for this. I don't want to advertise this because I'm doing this for a client. So we're going to keep that blank. And we're just going to scroll all the way up again to the top and I'm going to hit save. And I can go okay now. Now I'm going to go to my text bit because remember this is where everything's going to get pulled through. So I'm going to leave all of this blank because I don't need anything here because I don't have any of these merge fields put into a workflow. So any text that I put in here is not going to pull through anywhere. If you want, although your lesson plan would be, it could give you for like a selling guide if you want to learn more about a course. You can write in here like main objectives. No. Have to save yourself from a fire. But you can put in whatever as on there that you want to put in and maybe teach yourself about the course a little bit more. Joining instructions text. Yes, let's put in a little blurb about what the candidates are going to learn on the day. If they've got any pre-course reading materials, I'm going to attach it in my file store because I've already uploaded it into the file store and then they can grab it from here. If I pulled anything through, it would have been a link that comes right here. And my trainer joining instructions. This is where my lesson plan is going to go. Any regulations of the course, any specifics of this are going to come in here. I'm going to hit save. Now, because this is a sessional course, I'm going to go into my sessional plan items. Ideally what I want to do, just like basic life support course, I know the timings fluctuate with some candidates, but it doesn't all the time. It's not too big. My mapped course template for this one, fire safety is not going to come up because I haven't actually created it yet. So all I actually really need to do, I need to save this first before I add any sessional plans because it doesn't know that my course template's here yet because it needs to be attached to fire safety. But what I am going to do is just put in as much detail as I can here. I'm just going to write none for offset unit. Now, this is where your sessional plans can pull through automatically. So you can add in the times that each session's going to do. So if you were adding in a fire safety course, there's 3 sessions. One's at 9 o'clock, one's at 11, and one's at 1 o'clock. I don't want to have to do that manually each time. So I'm going to build it into the system as much as I can. So we're going to do this first one at 9 o'clock, and then it ends at 11. Remember, it's only a 2-hour course. There's no cost associated to this because people get charged, for the day rate. So you can go, it's a mandatory, clone the trainers, clone the venue. This means that every time you put in this course and you create it as new, it's going to pull through all those details. It's not going to save it for me at the moment. I might just, I'll lie. Pretend that says fire safety, then go save and close. So this would have said then fire safety, and it's giving me one sessional plan that's going to start at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Now I can replicate that from my 11 o'clock to my 1 o'clock, and then my 1 o'clock to my 3 o'clock. And then that's automatically going to pull through each time I create this course. If I don't want that to happen, don't make the sessional plans because maybe it's not a sessional course. But it's really handy especially when we used to do adult basic life support refresher courses that were only an hour and you've got 5 of them. Make the system do as much as it possibly can. I'm just going to take that off because I made it up. Details. And then we're all saved. So that's how you create a new course template. Now, I'm just going to go into here and I'm going to search for my fire safety courses right here. So if I needed to change anything on this course, all I need to do is right click and edit. And then I can change all of the details that I've just put in there. What I'm not going to be able to change, the only thing is just my template ID, but that's okay. And you can also go ahead and test it. If I wanted to, let's say I've just created this new course. My client's already giving me all the dates that I want to book it onto. So I'm just going to go into my calendar. I want to book the course on the 14th of April. I'm going to go to add class course, and go fire safety. And that's my course.